Alright, Dalton, as we start with your video analysis, I'm going to compare you here to Andre Ethier on the right, and I'll flip him around and make him right-handed like you are. To start with in your stance, I always like to begin from the ground up, and we'll talk about your feet, and making sure that your feet are pointed straight ahead to help you position the weight on the inside ball of the foot. The swing works like a long row of dominoes, falling from the ground and working up the body, one falling into the next. And the first one to fall is the ball of the foot advancing your back knee forward in the stride. So the weight has to be positioned there on the inside part of your feet and on the ball of your foot. So we want to make sure that your foot is straight ahead in order to do that. Plus, it's going to close your hips. When your hip bones are closed, when we get into the rotational part of the swing, it's going to make it easier for you to get into full rotation rather than having your toes flared out and the hip bones also flared out at that point. The knees are inside the ankles, but yet you're still a little flat-footed from what I mentioned earlier of not being on the inside part of your feet as much. Real clear to see here with Ethier how he's inside his ankles, weight is positioned on the inside part of the feet, and the knees are inside the ankles. You have a tall upper body posture with two eyes level on the pitcher. That's very good. We like to see that because the body will rotate fastest when it's tallest. And the taller the axis that we rotate on, the faster you're going to turn, creating more bat speed. So it's good to start in an upright position. That's a matter of style, but it's a good style to choose in what you do. Now, we get into your negative move in your stride. So we want to load against the back leg, not over it. Meaning when Ethier gets into his negative move, it's a very small motion. It's one of the things that's really overcoached in the swing is that the load only goes against the backside, where most hitting coaches and players end up loading over it or teaching to load too much. Basically what we tell you is we don't want your head to move a lot rearward here. The loading action is to create tension on the inside part of the back leg and the inside part of the foot. So you watch Ethier get into his negative move here, there's not a lot of movement back. That's it. It's a very small negative move, and that's fairly consistent across big league baseball. Now, there's different styles of loads. Some guys will use a knee lift, some guys will use a toe tap. But here with Ethier, see, it's a traditional load where he gets the tension stored on the inside part of the back leg and foot. Very small move. What we see with you here, Dalton, is you have a little bit too much of a negative move. Your head does move backwards quite a bit, and you're going to see the weight shift to the outside part of your shoe in just a second. So advancing you forward here. There, you're in your negative move, and right there I can see that the weight is on the outside part of your shoe, and the knee is just about positioned, or is positioned, directly over your ankle. When that happens, it sends weight to the outside part of your leg, and it's going to throw our synchronization slightly off because the weight's going to have to shift back to the inside part before we get into rotation. And oftentimes, with a lot of hitters, they'll end up firing from the top down because that extra time created or needed to get the weight shifted back to the inside, the hands have already initiated the upper body part of the swing, and you're swinging in reverse synchronization. Basically what I tell guys is if I put a line through the middle of your thigh, through the middle of your kneecap, and the foot, even in the load, we want to load against the inside part of that line, never taking weight to the outside part of that line. So you've shifted back just a bit too far, and you'll see that in your stride as well. When the weight shifts too far to the outside part of your leg, what tends to happen after that, as I clear this off, is that you'll see your body go uphill, and that's what you're doing in the stride. You can see how much your belt is uphill right now. When you get flat-footed on the back shoe, instead of just on the inside part of the shoe, the body can only work one way, up and down, vertically. So instead of what we're trying to do in this stride is create horizontal energy. So you can see right here, and I'll rewind it so you can see it easier, how your body begins to come up during the stride process. Here's your negative move. You're positioned over your ankle with the back shoe, and the foot begins pushing up. So you're moving up in your stride before you come back down. So your eyes are changing plane a lot more than they should be. And it goes back to the earlier error of just loading too much backwards. Advancing you out into your stride. Typically we say three things should move forward in the stride. Yours do: the back knee, the front foot, and the belly button all advance out to your center. So if we can simplify the swing in its two basic forms, there's two basic parts. When I land, I want to be centered and I want to be square. And you do that a pretty good job, even keeping your hands back at the same time. So I advance Ethier out into his hitting position. You'll see the same thing here, landing centered and square. That's his hitting position. So you can see the back knee beginning to pinch here, the hip beginning to fire against a closed front shoulder. That means he's swinging from the ground up, correct synchronization, and he's beginning the torque portion of the swing, where the hip is separated from the shoulder, beginning to fire from the hips while the shoulder is closed. So we get you out to toe touch once again, you'll see yourself in a very similar position. Now you got there a little bit of a different way, but that's a nice, square, centered hitting position. Looks very much like the big leaguers. The three things that we stress at foot down is I want to be in a balanced 50-50 position. When I get to heel plant, I want to see that the knob of the bat is somewhere towards the catcher's feet at foot down. So we have a tall bat that's tipped over the head but not around it, definitely not flat or wrapped. And the hands will be in a position somewhere beyond your back shoulder but not beyond the tip of the back elbow. And that's illustrated with you because we can't see your back elbow, your hands are right in front of it. Very similar to what you see here with Ethier. Same hand positioning for both of you guys. So very nice job in your hitting position. If you can maintain that hitting position, regardless of what a pitcher is throwing you, fastballs, changeups, inside or outside, you have a chance to beat him. If you can't get into that hitting position, or the pitcher can manipulate it by changing speeds or locations, he's going to win. So you've got one of the first crucial steps in hitting you've done successfully. So now we're ready to begin the swing from the ground up and get into the rotational phase. Once your heel drops, we're saying that we've ended the body's forward linear phase and getting into rotation, which means we put the nail through your head, through your midsection, and through the ground, and we're going to rotate on that nail through the rest of the swing. So we're going to rotate on a stationary axis. As you're going to see his backside start to fire, shoulder is still closed to us as the hips are beginning to turn through the ball. See those lines on the jersey are the same lines he's getting across, or same stretch he's getting across his core, across his inside obliques. It's going to make his hands go faster forward, like stretching back a rubber band and letting it let go. This is the beginning torque of his swing. So we watch you checking your synchronization. Here's where I see something peculiar, and I don't know if you're just standing in a hole in the batter's box, but it's very rarely, and I've done thousands and thousands of these video analysis before, but very rarely do I see a guy that his toes in the back shoe come off the ground as he begins rotation. So your heel in the back shoe is down. Typically the heel's the first thing to come up and the toes stay down as you pronate to the inside ball of your foot as your hips begin to rotate, and that's going to eventually pull you up onto the toe. If you look at Ethier here in this position, it's exactly the position I've stopped him at. You can see how he's on the inside ball of his foot there. The heel has come up because once we stop the body's forward momentum, get into heel plant, the hip is going to control everything else below the hip and take it for a ride. It's pulling the knee and it's pulling the shoe up onto the toe, shoelaces to pitcher. So let's make sure you stay on the arch or the ball of your shoe on the back shoe so you're not getting back on your heels. The other thing this could tell us, you know, if you have something that's taking you away from home plate, whether the pitch is in and you're trying to get away from it a little bit, or you have some hesitancy because a guy has hit you or thrown in the past and you're just getting back on your heels a little bit too much. So I'm not sure what the case is there, but we want to stay on the balls of your feet or your arches throughout the entire load stride process and as you begin rotation. All right, so moving you through rotation now. This is a critical part of the video analysis. When I take you back just a frame or two and we watch your hands begin to slot to the baseball. What I want to see in video analysis is that your hands beat your rear elbow to the body line. And that's the position that we call connection. So how I determine a short swing is when your hands reach your body line, I should see your hand, your elbow, and the pant line all in the same line. And the handle of the bat very tight to the shoulder. We want the hitter to be able to take the inside part of the bat inside the shoulder as quickly as possible. Right there. Inside part of the bat to the inside part of the shoulder as quickly as possible. And his hands beat his rear elbow to the body line. Handle of the bat stays tight to the shoulder. If you're inside the body, you can get inside the baseball. So inside the body and inside the ball, now you're ready to stay through it, stay behind it, with good bat lag, which means the bat staying very tight to your arm right here, which means it has more potential energy to whip through the ball as you get to contact. Tighter it stays to the body, faster it can go forward. So we rotate you to contact here. Rear elbow just in front of the body line. Your posture is much better than what I've seen you in the past. So your upper body stayed tall through rotation. Of course, this is a high pitch. So it's important that you do that. And you're palm up, palm down at contact. Here we have seen that the hips rotated you up onto the back shoe where the back side is non-weight bearing at contact against a firm front leg. So all that rotational energy was held in check inside your body and sent upward through your body. I stop ether at the same position. You're going to see a very similar position there at contact. So that's a very good job there. You see the front side is firmed up, back side is up onto the back toe. You guys are almost exact there at the point of contact. At the end of the swing, the shoelaces that had turned to the pitcher during rotation are going to stay turned to the pitcher at the end. So you watch Ethier here, all he does is just drop his heel at the end. It won't go all the way to the ground. But he drops his heel, shoelaces stay to the pitcher, now he's balanced up near center again before he runs out of the box. You come a little off balance, and what I notice is that your shoelaces that turn to the pitcher, right here, end up turning back sideways to the camera before you come out of the box. And that's just pulling you backwards, oftentimes pulling you off balance. So we want to make sure we stay shoelaces to pitcher as we finish just dropping the heel, and then we can run out. So overall, very good swing. Your posture has been maintained, is a lot better. The other thing that I've seen out of you is rotated on a stationary axis where you previously had a hip slide. We want to make sure that we're just not overloading, we're not taking that body too far back, using the cue, not loading your head so much. Stay on the inside part of your thigh, the inside part of your foot. So when we advance out, we're staying from the inside part of our back leg to start the swing, and then eventually taking energy against the inside part of your front leg. So watch the negative move and load, and then try to stay on the arches and balls of your feet as we do the stride process. Finally, at the end, shoelaces are going to stay turned towards the pitcher as you finish the swing and bounce back up.